Sydney, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, so I'm going to read our disclaimer. So these webinars webinar sessions are hosted by Dawn Smith, a Master's of Social Work field student, Sydney Montgomery, a Master's of Counseling Psychology practicum student, and Ashley Mohetsky, a Master's of Counseling Psychology practicum student. We are supervised by Mark Ream, LPC, and Director of Angelo State Counseling Services. These webinar sessions are informational and psychoeducational. They are not intended to be used as psychotherapeutic treatment. Should these sessions cause psychological or emotional discomfort, please call Angelo State Counseling Services at 325-942-2371 or the Crisis Helpline at 325-486-6345 for immediate assistance 24/7. So this is just a little information about us. My name is Dawn. I am a social work graduate field student. I conduct intakes, provide case management services to students, and I will seek licensure as a licensed master social worker after graduation. And a fun fact about me is I love sci-fi, specifically Star Trek. Sydney, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Sydney. I am a counseling psychology graduate practicum student. So basically, I conduct intakes, provide individual, group, and couples counseling. I will seek licensure as a licensed professional counselor when I graduate, hopefully in May. And a fun fact about me is that pizza is my love language. I could literally eat it every meal, every day, and I can promise you I would not grow tired of it.
And we have another practicum student. Her name is Ashley Mohetsky. She is not on this webinar, but she will be on webinars in the future. So the topic today is accessing. Okay, accessing Angelo State Counseling Services. And so we know that there's stigma surrounding mental health. And so one way to try to eliminate that is to speak about it. So we would like to, that's why we do these psychoeducational webinars is to hopefully educate people about the realities of mental health and to debunk some of those stereotypes and the stigma surrounding it. So that's why we do these. So this is us. This is our building. We are at 1901 Johnson Street, and we are in between the chapel and the new construction of that museum. So we're that little bitty building in between those two things. And this is our phone number, 942-2371. And then that is the link. If you go to the ASU website, if you just, at the search bar, you can just type in counseling services, and it will bring you to our webpage. And so when you walk in the front door, this is what you're going to see. This is our front desk, and that is Sandra. She is the office coordinator, and she's who you're going to be. That's the first person that you're going to speak to. And she's super nice. So she's going to give you a tablet, and okay, she's going to give you a tablet. It looks a lot like that one. And so when you go to the doctor, they give you all those forms to fill out. That's kind of like what you're going to do, but you're going to do it on the tablet. So you'll put your demographic information, name, address, phone number, that kind of stuff, a brief history, of any treatment you've had in the past, any medical issues, and then an assessment. It's the first time you come, it's 62 questions. They're not difficult. It's just so that we can gauge where you are, and it's helpful for us to know, so that we know where you are for your intake appointment. So the services that we provide at Counseling Services are group counseling, individual counseling, couples counseling, assessment, referrals, case management, teletherapy, consultation, and crisis intervention. So group counseling would be, you're familiar with support groups. We don't at the moment have any of those going, mostly due to COVID. But if there was a lot of interest for a specific type, we could probably get those going, and more than likely it would be virtual. Individual counseling is pretty self-explanatory, and we're going to talk about some of those in depth. Couples counseling, as long as one part of the couple is an ASU student, then we can provide couples counseling. Assessment is like free psychological testing. If a student thinks they might have, let's just say, ADHD, then we can do, we have somebody that can do a testing to see if that's the case. Referrals. If you were to come and perhaps you need some sort of specialized treatment, or it's out of the scope of our scope of practice, we would be able to refer you out to somebody else. And then consultation. So if there's somebody that just needs one appointment, just they have something they'd like to talk to just about one time, maybe about how to approach somebody that they think that might be have some sort of issue, then you can come and do that with us. And then crisis intervention. So if you're having a mental health crisis during business hours, please feel free to come to our office for a walk-in appointment. We're here from 9 to 3. And then ASU has a crisis helpline that you can call 24/7, 365 days a year at 325-486-6345. So I do case management, and that is typically a 30-minute appointment. And the things that this is by no means the complete list of things we can talk about, but perhaps you're having some time management issues. Maybe if you're a freshman, like this is first time away from home, and you need some like pointers on studying, pointers on note taking, we can talk about that. Or looking for a job either on campus or off campus. If you need help with food, I can do that. Or advocacy in any kind of community resource, I can help you with that. Sydney?
Alrighty, so the first appointment that you're going to have when you come in is called an intake. It looks a little bit different than our normal counseling sessions. So intake sessions are around 45 to 50-minute meetings between the student and the therapist, who are just trying to get to know each other and collaborate on how us as a therapist can help the student get to where they want to be. So here at Counseling Services, there are 3 types of intakes that a student can choose: a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. Level 1 is for students who are in crisis and need assistance immediately. And an example of this would be if you were to be experiencing severe suicidal ideation. Level 2 is a standard intake and is typically what's most common. It's when a student is wanting therapy on a regular basis. And then level 3 is a one-time consultation with a therapist if a student is wanting guidance for a specific problem, but don't necessarily want to seek therapy. And so when you come to counseling service, like Dawn talked about earlier, you'll be given a tablet to fill out the paperwork based on the level of the intake that you need. And this typically takes around 15 minutes. And so once that paperwork is completed, a counselor will come meet the student in the waiting area and bring them back to their individual office to discuss the best course of treatment for the student. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about a counseling appointment and kind of what that looks like. So our sessions typically last around 45 to 50 minutes, just kind of depending upon what we talk about. And so the different counselors here, the counseling styles vary, but all will typically involve information gathering, discussion, and quote unquote homework. And so basically what these means, information gathering is kind of where we either, discuss like what we're going to talk about for the day, review stuff we did in sessions before that, kind of go over homework. If you had homework previously, we kind of unpack that and kind of do some processing in that area. And then we have discussion, and then that's basically kind of where the counselor and the person in the session kind of just talk with one another about what's going on, what they want to keep working on, what hasn't been working, and kind of when the therapist is able to give some input and kind of help. And then that leads into homework, where basically we send you with the next bullet, like the techniques and tools to kind of help you cope outside of counseling with what's kind of been going on. Because, you know, you only come to counseling for like a little hour, and then the rest of your life has to be lived outside of here. And so that's kind of where we give you the tools and techniques to kind of help in those moments when you aren't in counseling, kind of help cope with what's been going on. And the sessions are about you. They're your safe place to discuss what you want to talk about, when you want to talk about them. And so we are here for you, and we want you to make the most of your time that you have with us in your sessions. And so the top 5 reasons that students seek us out is stress and anxiety, depression, academic distress, sleep, and family distress. And so there are a few differences between stress and anxiety that we want to touch with y'all a little bit. So stress is a response to an external cause, such as, work, school, family life, relationships, and this lovely COVID pandemic that we're in right now. Stress can move on to trigger anxiety, but it tends to be more manageable in a day-to-day life. And while anxiety is response to an internal experience, often related to events occurring in the future, and this includes worry, apprehension, and fear, and this can escalate into a diagnosable mental health disorder, such as an anxiety disorder. And so we're going to have y'all somewhat meet some of our staff. So Mark is our LPC director, and he has specialties in depression and social anxiety. We have Deborah, who she is an LPC supervisor. She has specialties in anxiety and ADHD. We have Brandy, she is an LPC intern, and her specialty is in anxiety, couples, multicultural counseling, and also LGBT plus counseling. And then we talked about Sandra a little bit. She is our office coordinator, one of the nicest ladies you'll ever meet, and she's always helping us and is ready to help all of you in any way that she can. And then we have Peggy. She is also an LPC intern, and her specialties are LGBT plus counseling and depression. And then we have Kiri, and her specialty is trauma. And we have Abby, and her specialty is couples and family issues. And then you'll also see Ashley and I here. We are practicum students, and so we are basically seeing clients underneath a supervisor. And so different ways you can connect with us. Our phone number, 325-942-2371. And then we do also have our crisis helpline, the 486-6435. And that is available to you 24/7, 365. And it is yours for the taking. So please use it as you feel necessary. We are also on Instagram, and there's our Instagram handle, Resilient Rams. And we are on YouTube as ASU Counseling Services.
So if anybody doesn't have any questions, that's our webinar for today. Thank you for attending. We really appreciate it. And we will see y'all next week.
And I just pasted the link into the chat.